Stay tuned. You don't stop these authors. Our next author actually started with a love of books. And I asked him what was his first memory of reading a book. And the one he remembered is the Hardy Boys. And you know, you think back at maybe what your favorite book was as a child. I had a collection of Bobbsey twins. Not that they were fantastic books, but I remember them. Joey Jones, come up and tell us about that.
Well, thank you, Luann, and thank you, Dew, for putting on this event, to the Friends of the Havelock Craven County Public Library and the library itself. It's such an honor to be here with you all today, and a privilege to meet everyone and talk with you folks and hear your stories and how you fell in love with books and writing. And at my table, we decided that after lunch, we needed a nap time. So it would be nice next time around if there's couches where everybody can lay down and read a book and take a nap. And I have another story about a woman at my table, Denise. One of my fears when I first published my book was, what if when I'm signing somebody's book, I write the wrong name or I misspell their name? And so Denise actually found out about my books, and we had a mutual friend before she met me, and we kind of had some dialogue back and forth through that mutual friend. And he said, well, I can get your book signed by Joey if you want to. We play basketball together. And so she said, no, I think I want to meet him in person. And I was out at the New Bern Farmers Market one Saturday, and she came out with her book and said, hey, I want to get you to sign it. And we sat there and talked and all that, and I signed it and made it out to her and all that. And she went on about her way, and I was selling books and talking to other folks, and she came back up to me and just kind of looked at me. And she's got this feisty sense of humor, and I learned that early on. And she said, Joey, do I look like a man? And I just looked at her and I thought, well, of course, no, you don't look like a man. And she said, well, I'm not Dennis. And I looked at her book, and I had forgotten the E on the end of her name, so she was Dennis instead of Denise. So we fixed that. We've had a great relationship from there on out, and she's purchased, Bridget Park was my first book that she picked up, and then she's also picked up my second book, which is Losing London, and she's been a great fan and a great friend. And that's one of the neat things about being a writer and meeting folks. You become friends with them over time, so that's really neat. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in New Bern, North Carolina, so I'm one of the ones that have stuck around all these years. Had amazing parents and 3 sisters and 2 brothers. I have a rather large family. I have 2 children, one's 15 and one's 8 months, so there's a pretty big spread there. So I've got a babysitter on one end and a baby on the other. I went to school, graduated from New Bern High School, then went on to Craven Community College and got my degree there in marketing and retailing, and I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland University College. And at that time, I had no idea I would be a writer. My bachelor's degree is in business communications, and so I started out in the marketing world. I did marketing with Chick-fil-A for 17 years, and then finally decided that I wanted to publish a novel I had written way back in 2002, 2003. And I just sat on it for a long time and tried to make it perfect, and that's another one of my issues as a writer. I always want everything to be perfect, but it never is, honestly. And so I could still work on it today and probably work on it for the next 10 years, but that's a fear that I got over and finally published at Bridget Park in September of 2015. And I was scared to death of people reading it and what they would think about it. But it's earned 4.6 out of 5 stars on Amazon, so it's done really well. And it is a love story that tests the limits of trust and forgiveness. And so I hope you'll come up and check it out today and read the synopsis on it. And then Losing London was published in 2016, and so far, keep my fingers crossed, it has 5 out of 5 stars on Amazon, so it's doing very well as well. It's an epic love story filled with nail-biting suspense, forbidden passion, and unexpected heartbreak. So suspenseful love stories is kind of the genre that I fell in love with, a little bit different from the Hardy Boys mystery. But there is some mystery and some twists and turns in my books, and that's probably where I got that from, that early love of suspense. I'm working on novel number 3 now, and it's also a suspenseful love story. I don't have a title for it yet, or I kind of have a title for it, but it'll change probably 3 or 4 times throughout the book. I'm on chapter 4, and it's centered on college life, and characters are in their early 20s, so it should be pretty exciting. And it's set in a small town in North Carolina. And typically when I write about 3 days per week, and that's a little bit difficult with a baby around the house. I'm a stay-at-home dad / writer, and so during the day I try to do some promoting when he's taking a nap, but most of my writing is done in the evenings and the weekends, so I feel like I'm in college again and doing it on the side as far as the writing goes. I like to try to write about 1,500 words a day. In Abridged Park there's 72,000 words, and in Losing London there's 87,000 words. And so when you're writing 1,500 words a day, you can get to that amount pretty quick, but there's so much editing. I do a lot more thinking than I do writing, and end up going back and editing, rewrite, and I'm sure all the authors spend a lot of time doing that as well. So in closing, who has a cell phone? I like to do this at the end of all my speeches. So if you have a cell phone, take it out and take a picture of either the folks at your table, or you can take a picture of me up here talking, or a video, or whatever you want to do, and then just post on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, whatever you do, or share this with your friends later, and just let them know what a great event they missed, and that they should be helping support the libraries. And my Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are all facebook.com/Joey Jones Writer, so Joey Jones Writer at the end of any of those. So I hope you all will check out my social media pages and follow me on there. Again, thank you all for having me here today. It's been an honor and a privilege, and we had some great food and great fellowship, and just really enjoyed being with you all today. Thank you so much.